What's up, guys? Welcome back to another, I guess I'm going to call it slow down Sunday. I thought about Sunday sit down, like we're having a sit down and talk, but I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to be it's basically going through the whole chapter of 2 Peter 2. I'm going to start and read the first 3 verses and then skip through some. It's talking about false prophets. So it says, "But false prophets arose among the people, just as there will be false teachers among you, who will secretly bring in destructive heresies, even denying the master who bought them, bringing upon themselves swift destruction. And many will follow their sensuality, and because of them the way of the truth will be blemished or blasphemed. And in their greed they will exploit you with false words. Their condemnation from long ago is not idle, and their destruction is not asleep." Jump down to verse 9. "Then the Lord knows how to rescue the godly from trials, to keep the unrighteous under punishment until the day of judgment, and especially those who indulge in the lust of defiling passion and despise authority. Bold and willfully they do not tremble, as they blaspheme the glorious ones. But these, like irrational animals, creatures of instinct born to be caught and destroyed, blaspheming about matters of which they are ignorant, will also be destroyed in their destruction. Suffering wrong as the wage for their wrongdoing, they count it pleasure to revel in the daytime. They are blots and blemishes, reveling in their deceptions, while they feast with you. They have eyes full of adultery, insatiable for sin. They entice unsteady souls. They have hearts trained in greed, accursed children." I'm going to jump down to 18 and 19. "For speaking loud boast of folly, they entice by sensual passions of the flesh those who are barely escaping from those who live in error. They promise them freedom, but they themselves are slaves of corruption, for whatever overcomes a person, to that he is enslaved." And 21 through 22. "For it would have been better for them to never have known the way of the righteous, than after knowing it turn back from the holy commandment delivered to them. What the true proverb says has happened to them. The dog returns to its own vomit, and the sow, after washing herself, returns to wallow in the mire, the mud." So the first part is talking about telling you there will be false prophets, and they'll be disguised as good people. I mean, there's a bunch on TV now, a bunch of preachers and stuff like that, prosperity gospel stuff, that they're preaching for their own gain. Any preacher that rides around in a Range Rover or a Cadillac or something like that, $100,000 car, lives in $1 million house, $2 million house, has a private plane, they probably don't care about you that much. The reason I'm doing this is, one, because God's given me a voice and I'm still alive because of Him. He saved my soul, and I know how good it is. So if anybody out there that's not saved, maybe this can help them make a decision. It's really changed my life. It's not about me making money. This isn't. Yeah, maybe making videos, YouTube videos, is about making money, sure. Eventually, I'm still not. But this has nothing to do with me making any profit off of this. And I'm not doing this because I want to be seen as a good guy. I really could care less about that. It's just me doing what I think I've been called to do. So in between verses 2, well, actually, yeah, it was 3. In between verses 3 and 4, God's just given, or not God, Peter's just giving examples of what God has done. He talks about the flood, killing all the unrighteous people in the world and saving the only real righteous people, Noah and whoever else, and talking about Sodom and Gomorrah and just a couple examples. And then in verse 9 it says, "Then the Lord knows how to rescue the godly from trials, to keep the unrighteous under punishment until the day of judgment." And it, I don't know, I mean, that's not saying that if you're a Christian, you're not gonna have troubles in this world, but I think I mean, just think about Job, what all he went through. So it's not like our life's gonna be perfect if we get saved. It honestly, I think, gets a whole lot harder because you see what you're doing wrong before you didn't have any idea. And it's talking about people blaspheming God. And then verse 12, it says they're like irrational animals, creatures of instinct, born to be caught and destroyed, blaspheming about matters of which they're ignorant. I mean, there's a bunch of people out there. Like, I used to listen to Joe Rogan a lot, but, he has a lot of smart people on there, and he seems pretty smart, but, I've heard him say some stuff about God that's just not true. So I quit listening to him, but I mean, that kind of thinks, I mean, they don't even know what they're talking about, and they're, making fun of God without even knowing what they're saying. Let me see what else. Talking about they have eyes full of adultery, insatiable for sin. They entice unsteady souls, and their hearts are trained in greed. So yeah, I mean, you can tell a lot by if a person's trying to do something right and other people are giving them a hard time about it. That person probably don't have, well, I wouldn't say they don't have Jesus in their heart, but maybe they just, I don't know, if somebody's trying to walk this line and I'm trying to pull them away from it, what am I? I don't think that's good. Yeah. And it talks a lot about, passions of the flesh and sexual stuff and stuff like that in here. I mean, that's a big thing, especially for guys. That's hard to, I mean, with the world the way it is and the internet, how easy it is to access stuff. That's something you really got to be on top of, especially if you're a guy my age or younger or even older. 18 says, "For speaking loud boast of folly, they entice by sensual passions of the flesh those who are barely escaping from those who live in error. They promise them freedom, but they themselves are slaves of corruption. For whatever overcomes a person, he is enslaved. To that he is enslaved." So, I mean, that goes back to somebody that's trying to do right, somebody that's found God and trying to escape their old ways, and people from their past coming back and trying to get them to do the same old thing they were doing, whether it be drinking, running around on their wife, or whatever it is. They act like that's great to the person that's trying not to do it, but in all reality, they're just trying to find something to mask their pain or whatever they're feeling. And for whatever overcomes a person, to that he's enslaved. I mean, that can go into anything, money, even, I mean, you're really supposed to be a slave to God almost, you know, you're supposed to pick up your cross and follow Him. And I know that don't sound good, but there's a whole lot more that goes into it if you don't know. That really is. I mean, I would rather spend my time on a higher purpose than spend my time trying to make all this money in 50 years. I'd be dead. I'd put the next 50 years of my life into making millions and millions of dollars, and I know I could, but what is that if you don't have anything else to live for? I mean, eventually you'll get burnt out, and you just won't. I don't know. It won't satisfy you. You look at all the rich people in the world. I always think of this as an example. All the rich people, the rock stars, the whoever that look like they've got it going on, all of them, once they reach the top, whether it be not anybody, just anybody that's super successful at something, they put their heart and soul into it, and they've actually achieved their goal, and then they don't have anything to look forward to. Most movie stars, rock stars, really successful businessmen, most of them, once they've reached the top, they have nothing else to work for. So most of them, you know, do drugs or drink all the time, or just have a miserable life. Once they figure out they reached their goal, that was not going to satisfy them. So it's enough for that. And 21, it says, "For it would have been better for them to never have known the way of the righteous than after knowing it turn back from the holy commandment delivered to them." So I mean, that's really saying, like, if you see a sinner or somebody that's never been to church, never been told the gospel, doesn't know anything about that, and they're just going on living, you know, how the world does, living like the world, you really can't blame them because they've never been taught. But somebody that has been taught, or that has been saved and turns around and does all the same stuff, like, you know the right way, but you turn around and go the wrong way, versus you don't know, so you're just doing what you think's fun or whatever, doing what everybody else is doing. So the person that knows still does wrong is worse than the person that has no idea. Eventually, the person that doesn't know anything will know something. It might be when they're 60 or 70 years old, but they will know something about the gospel or about Jesus. So I hope this has been. I hope somebody's enjoyed this. I'm still kind of nervous about making it, but I'm doing the best I can. This is the first time I've ever really done anything talking about the Bible. So thank you guys. I really appreciate if you watch this. Jesus loves you, and I do too. Thanks, guys.